Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bunny Cakes, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel for the first time. Today I am going to be doing a review for The Magicians by Levi Grossman. Let me see if I can pop that. There we go. Okay, awesome. So, this is book one of the Magicians trilogy. It was a TV series on Sci-Fi recently that just ended. This is one of the few times where I've actually watched the TV show before I read the book. Um, I'm both glad that I did that, and I hate that I did that. um, when I very first started watching it, I didn't know that it was a book series. I just found it on Netflix one night, and it was within my interest, so I started watching it. And then after I got through the first season, um, I found out that it was a book series. And then I was like, I couldn't find the books, so I just continued watching the book series, or the TV series rather. Um, but it recently finished, and I was able to get the ebook from my library, so I decided to read it. Um, the book is like well, not completely different, but it is hugely different from the TV series. And I think that if I had read this book before I had watched the TV series, there's a strong likelihood that I wouldn't have bothered to watch the TV series, which means I would have missed out because I loved the TV series. Um, some of the characters are different. For example, in the book, the character's name is Janet, but in the TV series, her name is Margot. Margot is a much more, um, she's a much stronger female character from the jump than Janet is. Janet's very fearful and stuff, and she freezes up in the battles and that sort of thing. Um, and she's also a bit more slutty and vindictive. And the vindictive part is the more problematic part. Um, Elliot is quite different. Josh is quite different. In fact, it seems like in the book, Josh and Elliot are kind of the same character. Almost, because they, at different times, either one is the cook. Josh is also introduced much earlier. Um, the other thing that's really weird is that their career at Breakbills ends at the first half of the book, which it's been a bit since I've watched the beginning of the series, but it seems like there were a couple of seasons while they were still at Breakbills, um, and like they don't get into a lot of the same storyline stuff that they get to as quickly or as simultaneously as it was done in the series. Um, I also really, really do not like Quentin in the book. He's whiny, he's wimpy, and he's just dreary and pathetic, and um, he's just altogether unlikable and gross. Like, there's a thing that happens between him and and Alice that and it happens with him first, and then after they split up, then Alice moves on or makes an attempt to move on in her heartbreak. And despite the fact that Quentin did it first and he did it while he was still very much with Alice, he holds that against her for like almost the entire rest of the book. Like, he didn't do the same exact thing to her, only worse, because they were dating at the time, and he knows full well that they're broken up at the time that Alice commits the same act. Um, there's other things that are different too, like the way Penny becomes part of the group and his career at Breakbills. Um, there are also some problematic descriptors. For example, um, within the course of a single chapter, they described a nervous behavior as behaving autistically, which I felt was problematic. There are also some problematic themes when describing the women. There's a curious one that I thought was weird, like right after Alice and, or not long after Alice and Quentin have sex at one point, he describes her as a child and having childlike behavior, which seems a bit gross, and looking childlike, bit gross for me. Um, the most of the other characters, while they were different, I liked them. I felt like Elliot and Josh were both kind of flat, and they didn't get necessarily enough attention paid to them. Also, Finn isn't like she is in the TV series. Finn got ripped off in the book. The Finn in the TV series, way, way better. Love that actress. Loved what she did with the character. But in the book, Finn's completely different. And that's another character that's described in kind of a problematic way. She's still a female character, but she's kind of a mercenary type. And she's described as obviously a lesbian, which is just weird and unnecessary. Like, because she doesn't have any romantic interaction with anybody else, so it was maybe not necessarily problematic, but just unnecessarily specific description. I don't know. It was weird. I don't super like this book. It was hard to get through because mostly because of Quentin. I didn't like him. I didn't like the way he was written. I love Quentin in the TV series, but this Quentin, I was ready for him to leave. Like every single chance, I was ready for him to leave. Um and well, of course that's not going to happen. He's pretty much the main character. Um there's also some stuff that seems kind of hand wavy, and I hope maybe in the later part of the series they'll flashback and fill in the story more. Like for Julia, um, just like in the TV series, she doesn't get into break bills and she has a personal crisis over it. But then that's kind of the last you hear of her until the very end of the book, and she's an all powerful hedge witch with no explanation. That's literally the last time you see her. It's you see her, she's in crisis, and then you see her, she has gotten over it with no explanation in the middle. Um, and so I don't like this. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, and I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to bother to read the next book in the series. Um, Pretty much I'm putting the series on a back burner because it's killed my love for the Magician's universe for the moment. I will revisit maybe my opinion on moving forward to the next book, but not a fan. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars because I still liked the story, and I would have enjoyed it a lot more if it wasn't for Quentin. Um, I do not like that character. And he's just whiny and, just gross as a person. And he's not a good friend, and like he's not a good boyfriend. He's just an awful, awful person, an awful, miserable person, and I hate that character. I really do. So I don't I don't really recommend this. You're going to probably get more enjoyment out of the TV show, and it's going to be quicker. Um And this is a step back from my normal reviews because normally I'm like, I love the book. And this is different for me too because usually I prefer the book to the TV series or the movie, but this one, no. I so much, like, to a completely obnoxious level, prefer the TV show to the book. Um, And as of right now, I'm probably not reading the rest of the series, but that may change. I might get curious to see if maybe the characters get better, but we'll see. And you'll know, because if I read them, I'll review them on this channel, as I do with every book I read, or at least nearly every book I read. But that being said, not a great book in my opinion. Read it at your own risk. It's kind of gross. Um, and so that's all I have for this review. Thank you so much for watching my channel, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Bye-bye.